I think with a lot of influencers, they are trying so hard to get numbers that they kind of lose a sense of their why. Like, why did you start this?
Well, hey friend, welcome back to another episode of All Things with Chanae Lavette. We get into lifestyle, wellness, and faith, but today we are getting into all things creators. I am here with a very, very special guest. She has worked with some of your favorite brands, including Hulu, OWN, Shein, Balmain, and more. She is the one and only Racquel Guyton, the owner of Saint Germain Creatives. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, but you know what I didn't mention to y'all is that she is a very, very great friend of mine. And also is the creative behind Rom 8 Wellness, my brand. And so I'm so happy to have you here with us and just to get into some really good stuff, because our conversations, we be having the gems. The gems just be coming out so naturally.
They do.
Okay? But when it comes down to creativity, I always often think about God, right? Because I feel like one of the very first things that God told us about himself and his character is that he is a creator. We see that from the book of Genesis. From day one, he literally showed us, like, there can be nothing void on this earth, and I can create something out of it. And I want to show you that you too are capable of that same thing. So starting off there in terms of prefacing the conversation, what does creativity mean to you, and how did you realize that you were a creator?
Okay, that's a question. I think people, me personally, let me not say people, me. I create from feeling, and I think that's how God created. He felt like he wanted to create something from his perfect mind, and we have us. I'm perfect. But I think I've always been creative. I actually come from a creative family. My mom, she was a musician, she sang, she did all the things. My dad is a musician. But I think I've always been creative. Like, even when I was a kid, I used to rearrange my bedroom. I used to, like, decorate things. I used to, like, make my own clothes. Oh my gosh. I know my mom was sick of me, but yeah, I think I've always been creative. I've always had a desire to make, essentially just make things, make something.
And I think it's such a beautiful thing to be able to have the ability to see nothing and to create something.
Yes.
And nowadays, I think we constantly hear like this idea, like content creators, or I'm creative and I do these things. How did you get in the space of being, I don't even know if I want to call it a content creator in the space of social media,
right,
but in the space of just the brands, like, you know, right. How did you become the creative that you are today? And explain a little bit more about your experience working with high-level brands.
Right. So essentially what I do, I just niched it down to one word: vibes. I create vibes. That's what I do. I create experiences for different brands. It's called, now we know it to be brand experience, experiential marketing. But brands, in order to, I guess, get consumers to like a product or a service, they create these in-person experiences so that you can experience what they're offering. Whether you're a person that is already a fan of the brand or they're looking to acquire new brand fans, they'll create experiences. For example, this happens all the time in grocery stores. If you go in a grocery store, you'll see Boar's Head or whatever, meat, chips, whatever, but they'll have a person there with samples.
Right.
You're experiencing what they have to offer, but that's on like a small scale. But usually brands will come to me when they're trying to create like a holistic experience, from taste touch, smell, all the things.
All the things. No pun intended.
No pun.
So, in working with these brands, you also have worked with a lot of influencers, right?
Yes.
And I want to explore a little bit in this day and age, like, what does it mean to be an influencer, and what are some of the things that you see influencers do well, and then pick back up and tell us what are the things that you should avoid in influencing.
Okay, so I think people kind of, I don't know, they don't understand what influencing is. You're literally swaying a buying decision, right? That's why brands will work with certain influencers, because they have the ability to help them pick up sales or get more brand awareness.
Right.
I think what I see now, they just think it's pictures and photos and videos. No, the reason that a lot of like macro influencers exist is because they are relatable. Mm-hmm. They create a sense of relatability where you have like this parasocial relationship. I think that's why people like you, because they can relate to you. They understand you are real, you're raw, you talk about your experience. Also, buy this product, right?
Right.
That's kind of how it works. So I think creators, find your niche. Find what it is that you want to do. Stop copying other people's videos or whatever because it went viral. That's not what it's really about. Now, if it happens, that's great.
Right.
But create for you.
Yeah.
Right? Because the brands that resonate with you, they'll find you instead of you trying to get these PR packages and blah, blah, blah. No, who are you as a creator? Who are you as an influencer?
Yeah.
That's like the bottom line.
So it sounds like the influencers or content creators that get it wrong tend to try to imitate other people, right? And maybe that's what why we see a lot of the same form of content sometimes.
Exactly. Right? Everybody wants the products and the brand trips and the PR packages, which, by the way, there's like this thing going around because creators don't know that PR gifts are taxable.
Can you
You gotta pay taxes on that.
Repeat that for the person in the back that did not know.
PR gifts are considered taxable income.
And what are PR gifts?
It's essentially what brands will send you. It's like a tester of whatever their campaign is about. I'll give you an example. Prada does they do like a, what is this? Perfume. They do a perfume PR gift and they'll send it out to different influencers with the intent of the influencer posting it. Mm-hmm. But you will probably get a 1099 at the end of the year. Yeah.
And most people don't know that, right? No. So they take the gift and they think like, oh, it's fine, no problem.
Right.
And then realize on the back end, like, wait, hold on. This actually is affecting my taxes here.
Yes.
I didn't know that. So that's what a lot of people fail to realize when it sounds great, because it's like, oh, somebody's sending me something free. What I've found, and it's so interesting, I struggle with this, you know this. I struggle with this idea of like, am I an influencer, am I not? Because for me, I never want to come off salesy or brandy, or I'm just trying to, turn my page into a billboard. Because what I find in those situations is that I work so hard to build a community, and I don't want to jeopardize losing that community from promoting something that, one, I probably never use, two, I probably would never use again. Yep. I don't want to, and I told myself that from jump, like when I first started, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not in it for that reason. God has blessed me enough that, Instagram isn't my primary source of income. It's truly, if I'm being 100%, it ain't a source of income at all. It's not. It is something, I guess, that I do because I like to do it. But I do find that sometimes people move a little differently when it is their source of income.
Right.
And I just think that it's important to not, scam people or even like just jeopardize your own integrity. Like everyone knows I lost 80 plus pounds. I've had a number of brands reach out to me or asking me to model for their waist trainers or to utilize this pill or that pill.
Right.
And my quick answer is no, because I did not use any of those things to lose the weight. And I would never lead somebody else to believe that if you do this thing, now you get this result.
Right.
I can't sleep at night knowing that I scammed somebody for some money. So can we talk about a little bit from your experience from both working with brands and content creators? When do you walk away from a deal because you know it's not a good fit? Like, how do you match this up?
Yeah. There are some brands that I won't work with because it doesn't align personally with who I am.
Yeah.
If there was a certain clothing brand that came to me and I know for a fact I want to go to heaven. So I'm not going to do it. And I think when people are starting out as creators, they'll do anything just to get a check or some money or whatever. But it goes back to the why. What was your why for starting this, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially community building, and community building is not really contingent upon how much money you can make. It's about creating a space for people to connect. Mm-hmm. I think with a lot of influencers, they are trying so hard to get numbers that they kind of lose a sense of their why. Like, why did you start this?
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, you're in fashion. Yes, you're doing different niches, but what is the core of what you're doing? Like, why did you start this? When we look at like OG influencers like Jackie Aina, what's her name? Dulce Candy. It was a reason why they started those channels, right? Yeah. Jackie literally came in and she's like, you know what? I'm a black girl. I'm a dark-skinned girl. I'm going to show y'all how to do makeup.
Yep.
Right? And then it just progressed. And now she's like living her rich auntie life. And let me not say auntie because she don't like that. She's living her rich life.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think people aspire to get to that, but they never look at the beginning of the story.
Right. That why at the beginning, because there was a missing place for people who looked like her. Her skin color, her experiences, and she wanted to create that and to show other women, you too can find the perfect foundation to fit you. Right. And if you overlook that step, I think you're completely right. If you jump to the end of where we see her now, and you just try to get there, you try to manipulate to appear of, the flashy, the this, the that, you are gonna miss out on actually helping a core audience. Right. And creating that community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they also, people that are usually successful in the creator space, they didn't get into it because they wanted to get PR gifts and to go on brand trips and to make money. No, they did it with an intention of just doing it. Yeah. Just to share their story in hopes that somebody out there would relate to it.
Yeah, 100%. I even think about my own experience in growing my Instagram page. And mind you, I always take those things lightly because, child, my little 60 whatever thousand followers now compared to somebody's whatever 100,000 plus followers, apples to oranges, who knows? But nonetheless, I know that when I did grow my account to what it was, I remember at the beginning at one point of like intentionally wanting it to happen, like looking for it to grow, looking for the numbers to populate, and it didn't. And it wasn't until I remember just having this moment with God and surrendering, was like, look, God, I'm tired of like trying to do this or that, and I just want to do what you want me to do, and I'm literally surrendering even my page to you. When I tell you, I kid you not, and I tell this story often because I love to show like how good God is. I surrendered, and the next day I probably gained somewhere like, I don't know, it was like 5,000 followers, like flipped overnight. It just started going and going and going and going. And I think it was just like with me and God in our relationship, I think he needed to show me like, this is how life can be if you really just give me the will. Like if you just let me do the driving, sis, I can get you there much quicker. And I feel like when I was looking for it, it did not happen.
Right.
And it's just been such a life lesson to pump the brakes a bit and let God do what he needs to do to get you to the
Let
destination.
him create. Let him cook.
Let him cook, okay?
Okay, let him cook. And again, focusing so much on the vanityness of social media will not work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And people, they see success from other creators, and sometimes they be lying.
Mm-hmm.
They really just be lying, okay? But they see that and they're like, I want that. But you got to go to the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
You can't just want the glory and not the story. You got to...
Wait, can we just repeat that part?
You cannot want the glory and not the story.
Yes.
Right? You have to go through every piece of the puzzle in order to complete it.
Yeah. And if you don't, you won't even be satisfied.
Right.
Like you just won't, because it's not going to happen. You're going
Right.
to keep looking for this thing and it's not going to click. Let's shift gears just a little bit, just slightly.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the voids in the industry, right? And particularly as it relates to Black content creators.
Okay. Woo. All right.
So it seems like you got a word for us.
Okay. So societal norms are driven by culture. That culture usually stems from Black culture. But Black creators are not paid the same way other creators are. So it's like, okay, we're creating the trends, we're creating the dance moves, we're creating the looks, and we're not getting our just due. So it's a little frustrating, even with me working in the space that I'm in. I always have to go in and say, when we're doing like these activations and these events, I'm always like, all right, let me see the guest list. I get the guest list and I'm like, okay, we're gonna add, just sprinkle some,
just a little chocolate,
a little chocolate, mocha, caramel, whatever.
A little bit.
Just a little color.
Yeah.
Are we gonna sprinkle a little color in there? And the thing with that is that it's not even that they're not thinking. It's not that they're purposely excluding you. They are literally, you're not even on their mind.
Right? Isn't
And
that
that's
crazy?
the problem. You're not even on their mind. They're not even thinking about you. And it's like, I'm sorry.
But I'm the inspiration behind what it is that you're doing. But I don't even make it to a
I don't even make the cut. Even if I get on the list, I'm at the bottom and I'm a shoo-in.
Yeah.
So just on like that small little thing is just, I'm trying.
And
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
I guess in saying that though, what do you think, what is it going to take? Because I looked at Forbes, top 40 creators or whatever the list of, and I went through every single one and I'm like, why is it such a small amount of Black creators that made it to that list in terms of how much they make? And it just blew my mind, because I know so many beautiful Black creators that I follow, and I always just wondered to myself, but how? Like, why are you not at the same caliber level financially as others are? When I know the quality of your content, I know what that person is doing and they're biting off of you. Like, what is it gonna take, that, in your opinion, for things to shift and change?
I think this is across the board an issue. It's just representation, because it's the person there needs to be somebody in that room advocating for them. It's the same thing in the art world. Because there aren't a lot of Black galleries, let's just talk about Art Basel. Art Basel it happens every year in Miami. You have a lot of people come to Miami, and they are coming to see art, but a lot of times the Black gallerists get skipped out on. And it was only recently where Art Basel changed their requirements so that Black gallerists could actually have their artists, which are typically Black artists, on the floors of the exhibits. And it's really just about representation. Who is in that room that's advocating for you?
Yeah.
That's a deeper discussion into hiring. DEI. It's literally a trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
So now we don't have any DEI.
Nope.
We don't have any person in the space to represent us, which means we're overlooked for opportunities. Mm-hmm. So
it's a lot to unpack.
I'm tired. I'm just tired.
Let's
just go to
too.
Wakanda.
I'm not even gonna lie. I used to serve as the chair of the DEI at my firm, and it is exhausting.
Yeah,
it's tiring.
I don't want to have to keep
stepped down because of that reason. Because I was tired. I was tired of being the one to advocate for why this is important,
right,
what we should be doing. And I know that sometimes it feels like as Black women, the weight of the world rests on our shoulders. Mm-hmm. Like if we don't do it, it won't get done.
Right.
And that's what I used to have to explain to people, like older folks in the, mentors in the legal industry, who would look at me and say like, you should not be the one running that program.
Right.
But then I would have to say, but if not me, then who?
Right.
And I did get to a place where I did step away, and there's a great person in my place that's running it. But nonetheless, like it's hard to not be the one to do it, because you want so bad for us to get the recognition, to get even, I don't forget recognition, just treat me the same.
Right.
But
that's why we also create our own things.
Yes.
Because we are being excluded from these opportunities, we just don't have a choice but to create our own. That's why we have our own colleges.
Yep.
We have our own, fraternities and sororities. We have our own groups, because we have our own channels.
Yeah.
Because of things like that. So if you don't want to give it to me, you know what? I'm gonna just create it, and if you're gonna join, you're gonna have to stand on the sideline.
Yeah.
Because this movement is not about you.
Hey friend, I want to pause for a second just to thank you for being here. But there is a chance that you're here and not subscribed. So go ahead and click on that button for me. I'd really appreciate it. But that's really not why I'm here. I'm here because I want to ask you a question. Are you ready to start this year with passion, purpose, and an unstoppable vision? Then I want you to join me at Envision Me Conference 2025, taking place January 10th through 12th at the luxurious Del Mar Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So picture this. You are surrounded by like-minded souls, all engaged in empowering workshops and being inspired by power-pack speakers. Sis, at Envision Me Conference 2025, we are making the whole woman whole. That's mind, body, and spirit. So whether you are considering doing a career move, or you need some help crushing those wellness goals, or maybe you just need some good old soul care, Envision Me Conference has exactly what you need. And I want you to run, don't walk. I want you to beat me there, don't meet me there, at Envision Me Conference 2025. Tickets are on sale right now, but I don't want you to think of this as any old ticket. I want you to think of it as an investment in your future, because the vision that God gave you depends on it. Let's get to them goals together. Visit envisionmeconference.com to purchase your ticket today. Now, back to the show.
Repeat. You just got so many like retweet moments in this episode.
It's really
already.
not about you.
And it's so crazy to me, because I feel like it's heavy, right?
Yeah.
It's heavy, but it's so necessary. And speaking of, when someone doesn't allow you to be at the table creating your own, you have created a separate, I guess, what would you call a seat at the table? Because
yes,
what we realize, and I've experienced it, and then you've experienced yourself going to networking things and being out and about, that there wasn't really space for us. And so you created something at the table to be this networking experience for other women, particularly Black women, to meet one another, connect with one another. And shameless plug, you and I have partnered
Yes, we have.
A few times with something at the table around Mate Wellness, and we're doing it again at a Vision Me Conference with Influence at the Table.
I'm excited.
If you don't have your tickets, please purchase it to Influence at the Table. you see our face, it was real serious, y'all. She was real serious.
Because if you want to experience something, you got to come.
You gotta come.
That's it.
But Influence at the Table is something I'm really excited about that's taking place at the conference, January 10th through 12th. But talk to us a little bit about Something at the Table and why that's important for you.
So just having our own space, having a way to connect with each other. Being from South Florida, from Miami, I feel like we're like last of the Mohicans. A lot of people left.
Yeah.
So people can't find their people. They can't find their tribe. And I found that as an issue during the pandemic when a lot of people were moving here from New York and LA. They're like, I don't know where to go. I can't find anybody. I'm like, you know what? I'm having an issue finding a space that is conducive for like real growth and real connection, because I'm going to all of these networking events and it's just like, okay, I don't want to talk to you anymore. So I decided, you know what? Let me just create an environment, because I'm going to create a vibe. Because it's a vibe.
Always.
I'm going to create an experience and an environment that helps other people find each other so that they can get more money, make new friends, eat good food, because you know I'm a foodie. I love to eat. That's my thing.
Yes, we know that much. We know that much. Tell us about a little bit more about that experience component, right? Because that is something that I think I enjoy so much. I feel like when I go to certain events, conferences, and whatever it may be, sometimes when it's produced by people who don't look like us, it's this lush, lavish experience. And then other times when I may go to something that we curate, it's not the same quality or whatnot. And I've made it up in my mind that I want every single ROM 8 experience for people to feel good, because we deserve to feel good in these spaces. So tell us about how important it is that your brand, your aesthetics, how does all that match up?
I always say this, stay on brand.
Yes.
Stay on brand. I think sometimes we don't necessarily understand. We're just in the act of just wanting to do, but skipping a lot of steps.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, do it. If you're
That's
going to
how
do
I
it,
feel.
you got to do it right.
Yeah.
So if you're going to create an experience or even a small event, like break it down in steps. Who do you want to come? How do you want it to feel? What do you want it to smell like? All the way down to the type of water you want them to have.
Right.
Because you know, Aquapana. Sponsor me.
I'm a Saratoga girl. I'm not gonna lie.
I love me some Aquapana.
Okay.
But every little detail matters. Every little detail counts, and you have to really make sure that when your guests are leaving, you want them to say, "Oh, I want to go to another one."
Hello.
And then you want them to tell somebody else.
Hello.
And then that person's gonna come and they're gonna say, "Oh, I want to come to another one." And then they're gonna bring somebody, and that's how you build community.
Exactly. I have one of the a good piece of advice that I got early on when I first did the first ROM 8 event, who I like to call Clark Beasley, who connected us.
Yes.
And I like to call him my fairy godfather, because Clark just like started putting pieces together and people in my life. But I remember calling Clark for one of our first events with ROM 8, and I was like, you know, they wouldn't charge me X, Y, and Z for an instructor. Do you really think I need that? And his response was like, these early on events that you're hosting are so important, because they set the tone for everything else to follow, for what people are going to expect, if they're going to come back. And he was like, pay for it. And I was like, all right, I guess. And so I did it. But what it, made me realize throughout this process, even now, like that little amount is nothing compared to the amount of money that I've had to fork out at this point over this conference.
Right.
It's not comparable.
Right.
But now it gets, I ain't gonna say it's that easy. You have to talk me off a ledge every other day.
Yes.
But I
We'll be all
recognize
right.
that, exactly, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the experience that you're creating for a group, for your audience, is going to take your brand to the next level.
Right.
And so it's an investment that you have to start looking at, is that what I'm doing, my content, the quality of my content, my partnerships, all of it plays for the end results, the end game here, right? So I have to daily remind myself of that. I have to daily, remind myself of even just my faith in this. Like,
yes, because it will be tested.
Hello.
You're like, I didn't ask to be a strong soldier, but
no, I'm in the
here I
army
am.
of the Lord, okay? I'm marching at this point.
Please, I need to be, let me go.
Yes.
I don't want to do this no more.
Listen, I have to talk. I have had serious conversations with God. I'm telling you about this conference. Like, you sure you told me to do this? Did I make this up, Lord? Was that you or was that me?
Right. Well, I always compare anything that is beautiful when you see it. I always compare it to childbirth, like being pregnant. It takes 10 months to grow a child, not 9. And then when it's time for that child to transition into another state, it's literally the most painful part.
Yeah.
Which is labor. And those contractions, I'm having flashbacks. They said it go away. I got PTSD. But the contractions and all of the things that happen in between the contractions, you're throwing up and you can't walk and all of the things, but then you finally have the baby and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
I know, right?
This is amazing. I did not know.
I know.
This existed. I didn't know this level of happiness and completeness existed. And that's how you'll feel when you finally just push it out.
When you finally push it out. But there's another part of this too, right? Where I had to learn with Roommate, where I was looking at it as my baby, right? I had pushed it out. I had the first event. But then after the first event, I felt this like low. I felt like this like feeling of like, okay, I don't know, God. Like, I don't really know. I should be happy, but I'm not happy.
Right.
And I associate it with baby blues. Like, that's exactly what happened when I had my son, where I was happy that I had him, but then there was this low that came afterwards, right? And then I had to realize I gotta actually raise this child. I gotta feed him. I have to stay up late at night. I gotta do all these things. And that's what having a business, it really is very similar in the sense of raising a child in those various stages of, yay, I had the baby. Yay, I pushed out the content. Now what?
Yeah, it's just cultivation.
What?
Just like you watch a child grow, you watch your business grow. It might be some things where it's like some days you're like, even for me, I'm like, I need to get a job because I'm stressed out. Health insurance is really expensive. And I'm tired.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. But then I realized like, oh, wow, I literally created this. I created this thing. Okay, I'm okay now. I don't want to go back to work.
Hello. Right? Tell me a little bit about, because you and I talk about God all the time, right? We love the Lord.
Yes.
We do. And we love to look fly too.
We do.
That's why we look
I
cute
think
today.
God loves fashion because in the Bible, they always talk about robes and fine things. Like Proverbs 31. Esther.
Hello. She was oiled down.
Period.
So
I do think God loves fashion and he loves for us to look nice. I think also that's why Black people get dressed up. Well, they don't do it anymore.
They need to do more. Dress up to go to church.
Dress up to go to church.
Yes.
Get
I still do it. I like it.
7 in the morning, cook your breakfast, do your hair, put on your garb. Stockings. They don't wear stockings anymore.
No, it's too hot in Miami to do
I know, but this
stuff.
lady that's what my grandma said.
It is. It is.
You wear your stockings.
It is.
And then putting the polish on them because it got a little run.
Yes. You really did grow up. We have this, well, all of us have the same experiences.
Yes.
We all are the same. Like, Black people have the same mama. Like, everybody.
Yes.
But tell me how you intertwine faith and creativity.
Yes. So everything I do, I read something recently and it talked about how God literally has the perfect mind. And
Yeah.
I was just blown away. Like, he's so perfect that he created you, which also means you are somewhat perfect because he created you. So whenever I'm creating, I always think about that, and I always say, you know what? I'm going to do my best, because if I was chosen enough to be born, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it the right way.
I'm going to do it the God way.
The God way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's how I feel like I get my best creativity.
Yeah.
Is when I surrender my mind and I say, God, use me.
Right.
You use me to do what I know only you can do.
Right.
And that's when I get the thoughts come.
Yes.
When I give him space. My dad always used to use this Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson example, where I think Michael Jackson called Quincy asking him about a record and what it needed and all these other things. And Quincy Jones just kind of stopped him and was like, the song will tell you what it needs.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And it's like, my dad would say, you need to stop trying to orchestrate, create, do too much. You need to make room for God to do his thing.
Right.
And sometimes as creators, I think we try to do everything on our own strength, when we just got to step back for a little bit and just be like, oh, but if the ultimate creator can just tell me, that is the goal here.
Right. And it's not your job to worry about the how, right?
Yes.
And I think sometimes people, we have like these big crazy ideas, but they're not really crazy.
Yeah.
They're not that big if he gave it to you.
Exactly.
He just wants you to execute. Don't worry about how to execute it. It'll come. Just start going. Just start doing. Because faith without works is dead. So you got to actually just
Do the
start the
work.
process.
Yeah.
Everything else will fall into place because it always works out.
And it does, and it will.
Yeah.
So we like to wrap up every episode with just a moment where we're looking at the camera, or our guest is looking at the camera. And just, I would like you in this moment to just take a minute or 30 seconds to pour into the creator or on the other side who might just be feeling a little down and out about where their career and trajectory is going, and give them some encouraging words to push through.
Ooh, I think I'm going to be ministering to my own self. I probably would say, just don't think about it. Don't think about all of the options and the lists and the to-dos and blah, blah, blah. Just do it. Whatever you feel like you want to do, just go for it. Because the worst that can happen is nothing. Because you only fail when you don't do. So just do it. And that's the word of the day.
And that's the word of the day. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I am your host, Chanae Lavette, and you are tuned into All Things with Chanae Lavette. Be sure to subscribe, follow, like, do all the things. We cannot wait to see you on the next episode. See you soon.